Okay, so thanks everybody for being here. I'm Maggie Condit-Summerson, and as Karen said, I'm going to talk about marketplace feminism today. And this is actually my first time participating in the Art and Feminism Wikistorming events, and I'm brand new to the process of Wikipedia editing, so I very much welcome suggestions from the group in terms of how to add and supplement this information surrounding this topic on Wikipedia. And so first I'll sort of introduce marketplace feminism as a concept. Okay, so the first thing to understand about marketplace feminism is that even if this particular term is new to you, you've already seen it in practice. And if you identify as a feminist, which I'm guessing you might since you're at this event, you've probably been exasperated by the capitalist co-optation of feminist thought, but you've also probably participated in it. But it's okay, so have I. I too have been complicit. And that's because marketplace feminism's politics are both slippery and seductive. Its messaging is persistent, persuasive, pervasive, and most importantly, it's profitable. Marketplace feminism is a ubiquitous Western cultural phenomena that has emerged with the rise of neoliberalism, globalization, and the post-feminist mentality that feminism's work has been sufficiently accomplished. It strategically and selectively appropriates its language and imagery from traditions of radical feminisms, for example, Black womanism, transnational, post-colonial, intersectional, anti-normative, queer, and trans feminisms, feminist disability activism, ecofeminism, etc. The critique of marketplace feminism then is very much in conversation with long-running critiques of liberal feminism, neoliberal feminism, post-feminism, popular feminism, and white feminism. A lot of feminisms. Privileging corporatization, entrepreneurship, and capitalist consumption, marketplace feminism replaces rhetoric of liberation with that of uncritical empowerment and choice, pivoting public discourse away from collective political gains for marginalized groups in favor of depoliticized, individualized, private experiences of self-esteem, confidence, and independence. Anti-hegemonic thought from radical feminist movements is assimilated, streamlined into palatable narratives suitable for mainstream consumption, and brought into alignment with neoliberal politics that do not seek to challenge structural inequities related to locations of gender, sexuality, race, ethnicity, class, nationality, ability, age, etc. Marketplace feminism suggests that buying a Future's female crop top from Forever 21 is unto itself a feminist act, with no need to worry about the ethics of the labor and manufacturing processes of the factory in a faraway elsewhere that produced it. Womanhood is understood as sisterhood, both universal and colorblind. The term marketplace feminism is used by US author and journalist Andy Zeisler, who's one of the original founders of the magazine Bitch, a feminist response to pop culture, if anyone's familiar with the publication. They're now known as Bitch Media. They actually began the magazine as this DIY kind of riot girl zine in Portland in 1995. And Zeisler's 2016 book, which the cover is pictured here on the left, is about marketplace feminism, We Were Feminists Once, From Riot Girl to Cover Girl, the Buying and Selling of a Political Movement, draws upon traditions of feminist scholarship to conduct media analysis of the semiotics of commodities and advertising, celebrity activism, and the beauty and film industries. Zeisler's style of writing is designed for a wider audience beyond the academy, and her voice is, I would say, very accessible and witty. She's deeply funny, and I think she's approachable for those who aren't necessarily familiarized with the vocabulary of feminist theory, which makes her work a desirable entry point into more rigorous critiques of the politics surrounding corporate co-optation and media representation of feminist movements. And this is actually how I became fascinated with this topic. I saw Zeisler give a talk several years ago here in Portland, and I've really been obsessed with the subject ever since. It's especially easy to see marketplace feminism at work in the lifestyle and beauty industries with the appropriation of feminist advocacy for self-care. Self-care can be a radical feminist act. In 1988, Audre Lorde described self-care as an act, quote, an act of political warfare for Black feminists facing discrimination and activist fatigue. Self-care is an important reminder to destigmatize conversations about mental health and to take a pause from the demands of contemporary life. But this messaging is now being removed from its original oppositional context and widely deployed by corporations to sell anything from spin classes to lean cuisine frozen dinners and 15-step skincare routines. You know, who needs the ERA when that cucumber sheet mask is just so moisturizing? I've included this recent selfie of mine just to prove that I do not consider myself separate or immune to this style of marketing. A critique of marketplace feminism then has to contend with the tricky politics of representation and visibility. After all, strategies of self-representation through cosmetics or fashion can be powerfully affirmational of identity and even allow safe or stealth passage for some. And visibility can be a subversive tool to transgress and issue gender norms, to celebrate queerness, and to identify fellow members of communities or subcultures that experience erasure in dominant culture. So we might ask then, aren't these feminist goals? What's so bad about visibility? And should we not celebrate diverse representation? Well, the problem with marketplace feminism's celebration of visibility is that visibility does not translate directly to liberation. As feminist media scholar Sarah Bannett-Weiser observes, quote, visibility becomes the end rather than the means to an end. For example, wearing a t-shirt that says this is what a feminist looks like transmutes the political logic of what it means to be a feminist as a political subjectivity invested in challenging gender inequities into what a feminist looks like, her visual representation. The t-shirt is the politics. The politics are contained within the visibility. Visual representation becomes the beginning and the end of political action. And the potential for visibility is not distributed equally in the marketplace feminist cultural landscape. Public feminist expressions from celebrities and influencers become highly valued, as do expressions from those whose bodies align with normative femininity. Young, thin, able-bodied, cisgender, heterosexual, middle-class, Western, white women. They tend to dominate the heavily mediated platforms of visual culture, thus rendering other identities like people of color, people with disabilities, people not in the West, trans or queer identities less visible, which can lead to silencing, marginalization, and the perpetuation of settler colonialism through visual culture. Feminist media scholar Melanie Kennedy has recently written about the global surge in TikTok engagement during COVID-19 and the emergence of newfound TikTok celebrities such as Charli D'Amelio, pictured here, who's emerged in the last year as the most followed TikTok influencer, currently with around 110.5 million followers. And every time I present about her, I have to update this number because it jumps so drastically on a daily basis. D'Amelio is a 15-year-old white teenager from a wealthy family in the US, and her father's even a conservative politician. She, I think, exemplifies the type of visibility we're talking about. You can see her Dunkin' Donuts sponsorship in these ads. Kennedy notes published leaked internal documents from the developers of TikTok instructing its moderators to algorithmically suppress posts by users deemed to appear, quote, abnormal, ugly, and slummy, and to censor politically defamatory and ideologically vulgar content. Such suppression and censorship work to make invisible those subjects judged not to fit the ideals of young white femininity. On February 12, 2020, BBC News published a story in which trans TikTok users alleged that the app has been shadow banning transgender content. In September of 2019, TikTok was accused of suppressing queer activists, and in December of 2019, TikTok developers acknowledged that the algorithm had been intentionally suppressing content from users with disabilities, apparently out of an effort to, quote, reduce the amount of cyberbullying on its platform. This style of corporate algorithm-based censorship is particularly ominous in that it is entirely invisible to the public. In contemporary neoliberal society, those who engage with social media often mistakenly view themselves as merely users of the platforms, forgetting that the individuals and their valuable data are actually highly commodified products in the eyes of major corporations. Companies expanding diverse representation through targeted advertising should be read then as strategic expansion into newly recognized potential consumer bases, rather than as a political commitment to social justice. And in response to the political realities exposed throughout the last year, a global pandemic, mass protests of systemic racial injustice, threats to US democracy, and worsening climate crisis, language and imagery from feminist social justice movements have entered the pop culture mainstream at an entirely new level, with social media expanding as a prominent site of political discourse. Corporations are strategically capitalizing on feminist activist conversations through public relations campaigns and performative allyship, privileging consumption over activism. As feminist art educators, we need to promote critical examination of the visual culture of marketplace feminism, or we risk the assimilation of our transformative praxis into stylish brand identities. So, by expanding the conversation and critique of marketplace feminism, I hope we can all engage in some healthy introspection. Perhaps we can turn on that pink Himalayan salt lamp and gaze deeply into the eyes of the notorious RBG bobblehead on the bookshelf, take a sip of barefoot rosé out of the Frida Kahlo insulated thermos and ask, what kind of feminism am I supporting? And if you're not sure, you can always do a quiz on BuzzFeed. Okay. I will get out of it. So I thought there would be two different options for where marketplace feminism could be included in the feminism page. So one option would be, and it's funny because once you start looking at this page, you realize how many edits could be made and how many additions could be made onto a page like this. But one option would be under late 20th and 21st centuries. Here, as you scroll down, they have, standpoint theory, fourth wave feminism, and then post-feminism. And because marketplace feminism is kind of an inherently critical stance towards post-feminism, I thought that might be a fitting place for it.